Undefined what?
The target is a human.
No, no.
I heard what you said.
What?
There's no way in the galaxy anyone could be that monumentally stupid. I was led to believe that the Black Hand assassins could kill anything.
You keep that name out of your thrice damn mouth around here.
Welp. We had to abandon that name after the bad deal with the Delphin Empire years ago.
I don't care about any empire. I want you to kill a human.
The assassin's mandibles clicked angrily in agitation.
We don't take contracts to kill humans.
Then I'll just contract someone else.
You can try.
None of the other guilds in the galaxy will take that job.
And even if you found an independent with a death wish,
they won't get the job done. Not without them either dying or ratting you out. You can't really believe that humans are unkillable.
I never said they were unkillable.
Quite the contrary. I personally know that they are definitely mortal, but
we don't take on contracts to kill them.
Why in all the hell's not?
Because the only way to kill a human and live long enough to enjoy the money for
the job is to drop a neutron bomb on them from orbit, just to be safe.
Then you grab the fastest ship you can and
book it before the rest of the humans find out what you did. After that,
I suggest finding a way to another galaxy and
staying there for the rest of your miserable life. You're having me on. Tell me, does the planet you come from have compulsory education?
What does that have to do with anything? Indulge me.
Yes.
10 years of basically teaching our young how to be as obedient as a Rastian drone. Sounds about right for any government-run public education. You learn any history lessons there?
Some.
They must not teach galactic history then? Sit, by around, and I'll tell you why no assassin worth their blade will take on a contract to kill a human. The drinks were ordered, and the old assassin took a long drag on his before he turned to his new drinking companion. You remember I mentioned the Delphin Empire?
Yes. What of it?
Do you know what happened to them? Their empire broke after they poured too many resources into trying to tame a death world. That death world is the human cradle world. And the planet didn't break the Delphin. The humans did.
How?
The assassin took another long drag of his beer. The Delphin Empire used to rule this half of the galaxy. Hundreds of species and civilizations held in thrall or crushed into dust, serve or die. That was the Delphin way. The council that presided over what wasn't Delphin territory back then could do little to stop the ever-churning war machine that drove Delphin expansion. They would posture and debate and even beg, but nothing they did could slow the inexorable march of the Delphin. System by system, the galaxy was falling under the rule of the Emperor. Then they happened upon a system that was called Sol by its inhabitants. The name wasn't being used for any other system, so the Delphin let them keep it. The humans resided on the third planet in the system. Poor sods. They had just started really exploring their home system when the Delphin came knocking. The humans were divided into various socio-economic groups that they called countries. This made it easier for the Delphin, as the fractured nations of humans were slow to respond. And the legions swept across the land without their next target being any wiser about their doom approaching thanks to communication jammers. Despite all these disadvantages, the humans resisted mightily. 1 galactic standard month. That's how long it took for the Delphin to claim dominion over the planet. Most pre-FTL worlds fell within a week, but those humans fought like demons, especially when the remaining countries finally figured out that they were being invaded. They even managed to bring the Delphin ground troops to a halt once before. Reinforcements were dropped, and the last bastion of resistance fell. From there, it was the usual boring administrative tedium, splitting the new slaves into work groups and assigning them jobs that would ultimately benefit their new overlords. Many of the surviving humans were farmers and ranchers, so the Delphin let them do what they were good at. An army marches on its stomach, I believe is the old human saying. And the Delphin war machine was hungry indeed. A few 100,000 were taken off-world to work in the mines elsewhere. Those humans are unnaturally strong and durable due to the high gravity of their world. So they excelled at the dangerous task of mining. The worlds and species conquered by the Delphin usually followed a handful of events as though they were reading from the same script. First, there was a year or two where the overlords and
Administrators would have to be very liberal with the whip until the slaves learned the new order of things. Then there'd be a few years of relative peace, followed by a period of rebellions and uprisings 5 to 10 years after the initial conquest. Once those were beaten down, there usually wasn't enough fight left to try again, so the survivors just gave up hope. These humans didn't follow the script. They grudgingly fell in line a few months after the invasion was done. And when the expected uprisings never happened, I imagine the Delphin were feeling pretty proud of themselves for beating the fight out of the primates. If I only had one compliment to give the humans, it would be this: they are natural hunters. They know how to wait patiently for the perfect time to strike. For 20 Earth years, the humans worked and lived and bred like cling rats. Not that the Delphin cared how many more humans were being born. More meat for the grinder, they would say. They would even give incentives like extra rations and special privileges if a human female produced more than 4 offspring. If only the Delphin knew. The humans weren't breeding more workers. They were growing an army. The human administrators and rulers that surrendered to the Delphin were at least half fake. Puppets sent to give the illusion of surrender while the real governments hid underground, literally in some cases, and continued to direct their forces. Camps, nighttime schools, secretly printed pamphlets about how to one day throw off the chains of oppression. Those humans were clever in hiding it all from their overlords. Then, when the Delphin warfront was dozens of systems away on their conquest of the galaxy, it was time. The humans' leaders, long hidden in their secret holes, had been planning while scraps of stolen Delphin tech were being meticulously reverse-engineered by their scientists. They had been gathering resources for their rebellion since they surrendered. While the Delphin had been gloating, the humans were preparing. And now, finally ready, they made their move. It was small at first. All rebellions are. A rogue miner refusing to work here. A rancher telling his overlord that his entire herd was wiped out by some non-existent disease there. A factory explosion over here. Larger disturbances to production soon followed. The human country of France, with its long history of rebelling against tyrants, would riot in the streets while crying out, "Vive la Révolution." Don't ask me what in the hell's that means. I never bothered learning human languages. A crate of plasma rifles went missing. Then a grav tank wouldn't start. When they popped the hood, they found it to be completely gutted of all power and anti-grav components. The Delphin leaders thought these problems were beneath them, but still needed addressing. So they called the Black Hand Assassins and other guilds like ours to deal with the rabble-rousers. Our services cost the Empire a tidy sum. I can tell you, that planet of the humans, dirt, I think they call it, is at least 3 times the galactic average gravity. Every agent we sent had to be fitted with a grav assist suit and spent a week after making planetfall getting used to it. At first, our agents thought that the human rebels were ghosts. They could see the after effects of sabotage, but never any evidence to prove who had done it. They would be patrolling streets when suddenly the streets would empty. Before the agent could wonder where the humans had all gone, an explosion would rock the street, sometimes taking the agent with it. One of our agents got so angered by the death of a friend that he went to a random, completely unrelated town and started executing humans when they couldn't answer his questions about who was responsible. Unsurprisingly, a mob turned on him after the 3rd execution and tore him to pieces. I can't even blame the Delphin for not paying the death fee for that one. Our contract was to stop riots, not cause them. The contract was quickly going bad. Sure, we were killing humans like we were being paid to, with the kind of surgical precision we were known for. But what good is money if you can't even make it off-world to spend it? Before long, we couldn't walk on the surface of their planet without heavy escort by Delphin troops. The humans would strike without warning and fade into the background. On the human continent of Africa, an agent was lured onto the savannah as he was chasing one of the human rebels, only to find himself set upon by a pack of feline predators. Those humans had even wrangled the lesser beasts of their world into fighting. The number of agents we lost to the humans' canine companion species cannot easily be counted.
And the less I say about the death trap the humans call Australia, the happier I shall be. First, one regional administration centre fell silent, then another. By the time the Delphin nobles finally took notice of this new problem, the entire planet had fallen silent. And not just dirt, but anywhere that a human had been taken to work was showing similar signs of resistance. One can only assume that they had been fostering rebellious notions with the other slave species of the Delphin.